Hello, I'm Joel Bloom, president of the New Jersey Institute of Technology. We pride ourselves on being part of the Newark community and its advancements in technology, innovation, and the growth of the city. That's why we are proud to partner with the Caucus Educational Corporation to produce One-on-One with Steve Adubato right here at NJIT. We hope you enjoy this special series.
Funding for this special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJIT has been provided by NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, Prudential Financial's Global Communications Department, PSE&G, committed to improving New Jersey's economy and strengthening its communities, the Northward Center, the law firm of Gibbons, P.C., TD Bank, and by Verizon. Promotional support provided by Jaffe Communications, where business, media, and government converge in New Jersey. And by Commerce Magazine.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this? Here it is, man. Look at that. Life without dance is boring.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
Do you enjoy talking politics? No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. We are at the New Jersey Institute of Technology in the heart of Brick City, Newark, New Jersey, and two of the most significant leaders that this city and the state and this nation have are in the house. First, Ras Baraka, who is the mayor of the great city of Newark. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
And your colleague in this initiative we'll be talking about is Barry Ostrowsky, President and Chief Executive Officer, RWJBarnabas Health. Good to see you, Barry.
Same here. Thank you, Steve.
There are so many things we could talk about, but today, as we are here in Newark and NJIT, we're talking about a terrific initiative. It's a combination of initiative called Hire Newark, but then there's Buy Newark and Live Newark. What is that, Mr. Mayor?
Well, Hire, Buy, Live is something we came up with in conjunction with New Jersey Institute of Social Justice, the Newark Alliance.
Ryan Haygood.
Ryan Haygood, great guy.
Best.
And Kim McLean at Newark Alliance. Trying to figure out how we get more Newarkers employed in the city of Newark. And how do we get the anchor institutions to begin to take some accountability for that and also get them to purchase more goods and services from the city. With city vendors and city businesses. And finally, the live part is to try to really encourage their employees to choose Newark, to cast their buckets down in our city and
That's right.
make a life of it for themselves here.
And RWJBarnabas Health, a longtime funder of public broadcasting. Barry, you serve on the board of public broadcasting in the state. You're involved, RWJBarnabas Health involved very much in the community, but why this initiative, why particularly the Hire Newark piece?
Well, this blueprint that the mayor's laid out, and of course he's a charismatic, insightful leader of a great city, for us is our mission. Our mission is to make the localities in which we are located better, the lives of the people to be improved. And so when you look at Newark or any vulnerable population, economic development and the ability to sustain yourself in your neighborhood is critical. So for us, in order to recruit additional employees so that they have the security of a paycheck and they understand that there's a career path that they could follow, really gives them a less anxious lifestyle, and they can start to invest in the things that are important, their family and other aspects of life. So we've taken up the challenge that the mayor has laid out, and we will be hiring 350 additional Newark residents as employees at the Beth and within our
Newark
system.
Beth Israel?
Newark Beth Israel, which is on Lyons Avenue in the Beth.
Part of your system.
RWJBarnabas Health, and where I was born.
Born at the Beth.
Born at the Beth. So to us, this couldn't be a more perfect fit for our mission.
Mr. Mayor, what does that mean when an organization like this, one of the largest employers in the state, the largest employer, when they step up and do this, what does it mean?
It's tremendous and kind of sets an example for what we think other corporations of this size should be doing socially and economically for themselves, for the state, for the city. It benefits everybody in the end. When the state's largest city is successful, the state itself is successful. I mean, and it also means that business and corporations in the state itself is also are also successful. So we think this is a great thing, and we been ecstatic with partnering with the Beth and St. Barnabas to make sure that this continues.
For those who may not understand, the population in the city of Newark, those who are having certain challenges associated with achieving gainful employment, what are they, Mayor?
Well, first of all, Newark is a diverse kind of city, right? So there are many people in the city of Newark who are employed, who have college degrees, who are ready to get jobs immediately, and like any other city in America, you know. But there are also folks in the city who've had generational unemployment and have been underemployed and don't have, or people who have went to school and are trained, but are not trained in the areas where the jobs are growing, where the market
including
is,
healthcare,
where the market is having an upward kind of trend, and so they have to be. Some of them have to be retrained in those areas, given the proper and specific skills in order to succeed in those fields that are growing. And then others, we have to, you know, get them ready, get them prepared for a city that is booming. And I think that is really, you can really put that anywhere in any state in this country.
It's a model.
Yeah.
Barry, let me ask you, we've talked about this online as well, and I've actually done a significant amount of leadership development within the RWJBarnabas Health system. And so I've met a lot of people connected to it. But the part of it that always fascinates me is how this initiative that we're talking about right now is healthcare related. Explain to folks. It's a broader definition of healthcare.
It very much is. And, you know, there's health and there's health care. So historically, organizations like ours have provided health care services to those who are in need of those. But that isn't enough. I mean, the Beth has been in New York for over 100 years, and there's still problems. And so after you do the studies, what you find is there are social determinants of her bad health, that screening isn't going to make a difference, or necessarily an emergency department. And those social determinants are real. If you're without a job, if you're insecure about your food, if you have shelter that is unfortunately substandard, these are all parts of your life that will make you sick or frankly be a barrier to being well. And so we've decided that we ought to address those very social determinants in addition to developing and delivering high-quality healthcare services. So, as I said, the blueprint that the mayor has laid out about employment and supporting local vendors and encouraging people to live in high-quality housing within the city fits perfectly with this social determinant investment practice that we've begun. Micheline Davis, our executive vice president, of course, has put this together and is leading the charge. And so I think we can make a big difference, not only treating sick people, but becoming involved in the daily lives of folks and trying to correct these social determinants that have such an impact.
Which is, in fact, Micheline was mentioned. Micheline actually serves on the board of the Caucus Educational Corporation, the not-for-profit production company that produces this and other programs on PBS affiliates and FiOS. But that's part of the larger social impact initiative. But Mayor, let me ask you this. Partnerships like this, which are a model, how many jobs again by 2020?
350 at least.
Does it, I mean pressure in a good way, does it put some healthy pressure on other organizations / corporations to step up and say, here's how I'm all in?
Well, I would say it gives them the confidence to do what they know is already should be done.
I mean the right thing.
Absolutely. So it's almost like you have a new market, and it takes pioneers to go in the market.
Who's
and say,
first?
I'm going to develop.
Right.
And then after that happens, everybody joins in and say, I want a piece of this. This thing is actually working. It's successful. So people come and become a part of that. And I think the Beth and St. Barnabas being a pioneer in this area helps us to convince other people that this is not only the right thing to do, that it can be successful as well.
But the collaboration piece is huge. Talk about that.
Absolutely. With the city of Newark and, with St. Barnabas, we're able to, create the kind of partnership where we are training Newark residents, where we're identifying Newark residents, and they're training them and then putting them to work. That kind of partnership is, something that we need in all areas of the city. I mean,
and mobilizes the community as well.
Sure, and it allows the community an opportunity to see that these industries in their city actually care about their well-being, and so they have a different view and perspective of these businesses in their community. They look at them as a part of the community and not just folks that are taking space.
Sure. You know, Barry, because you interact with healthcare CEOs and other CEOs from across the state and nation, the image of Newark, old question I know, has it changed in a positive way in the last few years?
It is changing.
And if so, how?
It is changing, and I'll tell you, Steve, that's an excellent point, because the truth of the matter is, those who live in Newark are, in fact, a wonderful labor pool. There's sadly some stigmatization to being a Newark resident. So this stigma of not wanting to recruit in Newark and not wanting to have these folks work in businesses in Newark is unfortunately inaccurate. I mean, Newark is a home of great educational facilities and a wonderful labor force. So for us, making this commitment is not that difficult because we have the folks with whom we can work. I think folks outside of Newark and outside of New Jersey are hearing about the real renaissance of Newark, the development, the idea that we have leadership in government that is going to make Newark again a great success as a municipality in the United States. And so when I speak to my colleagues in healthcare and I explain our social determinant practice, which will be based in Newark, they understand it readily. And what they really think is incredibly unique is the collaboration between a private organization like ours and the chief executive of the city. Our ability to speak with one another and our staffs to communicate with one another for a mutual goal. If it's not unique, it's a minority across the country.
It's a model.
It is a model, and so I think out of that can come many initiatives that will benefit the people who live in Newark.
And finally, Mayor, we are at NJIT, an institution you know well. You've spoken here many times, and you have a great relationship with the president here, Joe Bloom, Dr. Bloom. We're here talking about innovation. This is innovative, what you're talking about right now.
Absolutely. It is kind of social innovation, economic innovation, give us an opportunity for upward mobility, particularly in a place where resources are decreasing and not increasing. It means that partnerships become that much more valuable.
Well, Mayor and Barry, I want to thank you for sharing news about a very important development that'll be making more progress as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back from NJIT right after this.
To watch more One-on-One with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
There's the man behind the music. He is Frank Brown Jr., our own Frank Brown Jr.
Your own.
Musician, producer. He is the audio czar in the PBS system.
For many years, yes.
Thank you, partner.
Thank you.
For those of you, it's hard to realize this because Frank is on camera now. He has been taking care of the sound in virtually everything we do, and so many of us, public broadcasting for so many years. But you love music and have loved it for a long time. Your dad.
My dad.
A very prominent musician. Talk about him.
Very prominent musician. Did so many things, Broadway, Four Tops, all kinds of people. But the craziest thing, and I tell this story all the time, is that out of all the people he played with, he would only mention this one song that he played on. And I thought it was the silliest song for so many years. And he finally broke me down because I said, Dad, why do you always talk about this one song? He says, you don't get it. He says, don't you see the people's reaction when I tell them about this song? I said, well, why? I mean, what's the, he says, look, that's my dad. He said, this is one of the biggest songs ever. I said, really? He says, yeah. And to this day, when you mention the name game.
The name game?
My dad is on that session. That's him playing drums.
1964?
I guess so. Okay. I wasn't here yet. So.
Some of us were born.
Yes, some of us.
Talk to about the Renaissance Man.
Renaissance Man, guy named Reggie Parker. He and I went to college together, Lincoln University. We met there. I was playing drums. I was a music major there.
You've been playing drums since you're how old? 5. Oh, okay.
We met and we played side by side. He plays bass. And of course, that's a relationship that, just becomes, you almost become one because of what I'm doing playing-wise and what he's doing on the bass. And literally, we became very good friends. I was at his wedding and all kinds of things like that, and we just had a great time. We produced some songs back in '96, and no one ever heard them. and we had access to a studio. I was still working and, doing audio, and I wanted to get into producing. Did these songs. He did an album. I didn't work on his first album. Second album, he said, hey, man, listen, why don't we get together? Let's work on some things. I said, okay, well, we got to bring these songs back. So that's the basis. The Renaissance Man album has a lot of the songs or all the songs that we did in '96, but we redid them.
Some of the songs you love the most on it are?
1987, Forever, You're the One for Me, Natural Girl.
Romantic stuff?
Yes, there's a lot of romantic stuff on it.
Your love, it's interesting, sound. You have an ear for sound. I don't want to be overly romantic about this, but
it's all right.
What you do.
That's okay.
The rest of us, we don't hear it.
No, you don't hear
what
things
do you
I
hear?
I hear things people don't hear, and I think that's what has allowed me to be the producer that I am at this point. I mean, there's some other older stuff that I've done, but I'm in it in so many different realms. I toured as a front of house engineer while I was also doing television back in the '90s. I started back in music in the '90s.
You worked on Destiny's Child?
I was Destiny's Child's first audio engineer.
No.
Yeah. The
We'll talk
original.
off camera, or can't? Oh,
We can talk.
Is she in?
We can talk. Yeah.
She.
That's Beyonce right there, second
There
from
she
the.
is.
Well, third from the right, second from the
Oh
left.
my God! Great experience.
Well, I only did 10 shows with them. Like 10 or 11 shows, because the other two who decided they wanted to sing lead messed my money up, man. If I see them now, it's a problem.
The business of music and entertainment.
Yeah,
right?
literally. Matthew Knowles came up to me when I was mixing for another band, and he said, I love what you're doing with this place. We were in a place in Queens, and the sound system was garbage, and I tuned it.
You made it right.
Made it right, and he came up and, yeah.
I'm always fascinated by talented, multi-talented people like yourself. The idea of dealing in an industry where politics, business, the business of the business, the personalities, the BS, right? How have you dealt with all that? And knowing, hey, I'm better than these people.
Well, just like anything, or a lot of things, I should say, it's kind of who you know. And once you get in with some people, they'll make sure you're all right. They look out for you. And I think that's what's happened in television with people like yourself and other camera people and people I've worked with through
Fans
the years.
of yours is what you're really saying.
I wouldn't say fans, but
people
just people
respect
support
what you do.
you.
They
People
respect what you do.
And they make sure you're all right. And they say, as long as he's doing a good job, let's bring him on. Same thing with music. The music industry was very much like that. Once I got rooted in Jive Records, a woman named Kimmy Mason kept me working.
Believed in you.
Oh, God. She, from group to group to group. Joe, who was also a Jersey, not native, but he lived here. He's originally from Atlanta. I was on his tour, and his first tour. And I mean, she kept me bouncing around from group to group. And then there was other people, Cheryl Marks, and just people who just kept me moving.
Real quick, what's the future for you?
I would say continuing to be a half-decent family man, I'd say. I run with my children all the time.
Bob Morris, our great director, calls you like Dad of the Year.
Oh, man, that's great. Thank you, Bob.
I'm jealous. No, you're great that way. But I mean, in terms of the music side, what's next for you? Other than promoting this.
Promoting that.
The Renaissance Man.
The Renaissance Man, Reggie Parker. And I'm doing some more producing. I like producing a lot. I don't want to be a studio engineer because I don't have the temperament for it.
Yeah.
Making somebody's half-decent idea come to fruition is a tough job. You have to have the patience of someone like Sylvester Lewis, who also worked on this project. We
wish you, on behalf of all of us and the public broadcasting family, and we've been together for over 20 years.
Yeah.
We wish you nothing but success in that part of your professional life.
Thank you.
And hopefully you won't leave us anytime soon.
I'll be right here. I'm not moving anytime soon. Thank you.
Appreciate it, partner.
All right. Thank you very much.
We'll be right back right after this. That's Frank Brown Jr.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
I really, really love this place. Like, if I was anywhere else, I think I'd be unhappy.
The StreetSquash is real fun. To do something new every day and get more active and get fit, I really love it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Squash is everything to me. I'm here every single day. Squash is my life, pretty much.
That is StreetSquash, and the gentleman who made it possible is George Polsky, founder and executive director of StreetSquash. How exciting is this?
Well, it's been a long, long journey, so it's been a terrific journey.
Started in Harlem?
Started in Harlem, 1999. Started it small out of my house, you know, borrowed some courts, met with some principals up in Harlem, and just got the program going with another staff member and 28 kids.
What was the idea?
The idea was to work with children that in schools that I felt needed some more support and could benefit from the extra support that we wanted to offer on academics and social services. And I thought you could ask kids to come after school and just study more. And I said, any kid who's been in a classroom all day, you're not going to get many kids that want to come and sit in a classroom.
Right.
So I thought, use the sport that I knew well, that was is a great sport.
You play squash.
I grew up playing squash, so played my whole life.
At Harvard?
I played at Harvard.
Oh, that school?
That school. Right.
But here's the thing. You love squash. You had a background in social work. You were teaching. It all comes together.
Correct, correct. So it combined everything that was of interest to me that I thought was important. And I just felt that squash was a great hook. It was a sport that these kids had never heard of. Started small and have grown every year. We have a $9 million building in Harlem that we built after about 9 years of the program. It's a beautiful community center, serves hundreds and hundreds of kids there.
And you're in Newark.
And we replicated in Newark 6 years ago. And just as we began in Harlem of borrowing spaces, we used the squash. There are not many squash courts in New Jersey, but there are some. So we used the squash court at the Newark YMCA, the Montclair YMCA. We've used actually some of the racquetball courts at NJIT, Drew University. And our vision is to build a community center in Newark, just as we've done in Harlem, to serve many, many more kids. And instead of taking them out of their community, do something terrific in their own community.
Sorry for interrupting, George. What does it do for these kids?
I think it does lots and lots of different things for the kids. I think that the goal, and what's important to explain about StreetSquash, is that we are not a drop-in center. We are not a place where a kid comes once a week for a year and then you say goodbye. The whole premise of the program is that we're invested with these kids for a very, very long time. So they start with us in 6th or 7th grade when they're 11 years old. And we have staff and services and support for them until they graduate from college. So you're talking about 14 or 15 years of a very intensive, year-long, repeated work with the students, their families, their schools. So you're building very deep relationships and providing support that's focused and intentional over a very, very long period of time.
Where's the academic piece come in?
So they come after school and we help them. They come 3 or 4 days a week and we help them with their homework. We have our own curriculum that we introduce. We have a college prep program for our high school students. We take them on college visits. We help them with their college applications. And then once they go to college, we have staff that are only dedicated to our alums who are in college to make sure that they graduate from college and can help them connect to find work and other things. So it's the academic support is very deep, very wide, and over a very long period of time.
The future of StreetSquash in the city and in Newark where we're taping, and overall, how would you describe it?
The future?
The future, yeah.
It's great.
Is it going to grow?
We started in Newark with about 28 kids. This coming September, we're going to have, for the first time, a 7th through 12th grade class. So our original class are 12th graders. They're going to be going off to college next year. And as I said a little bit earlier, we've been working with L&M Development, who built our facility in Harlem, and as you probably know, are doing lots of work here in Newark with the Haynes Building, with Prudential, with Rutgers. And so we're talking with them about our facility in Harlem has a real partnership with Columbia University. And we've met with Rutgers to talk about a partnership here that could serve their students. Their students could come work with our students. The street squash students could come through and maybe be a pipeline to go to Rutgers and live and work here.
Or great places like NJIT?
NJIT as well.
How rewarding?
It's very rewarding. You know, I unfortunately tend to focus on what needs to be done next. What's problematic,
you're one of them?
I'm
like the rest of us?
I guess, and not running around celebrating all the
Not a lot of high fives.
No, but really, when you take a step back, there are thousands of students that have been affected, hopefully very positively, by this program, and I hope once in a while I can sit back and enjoy that part of it.
Well, we enjoy it, and people watching will as well. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Street Squash.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJIT has been provided by NJIT, Prudential Financial's Global Communications Department, PSE&G, the Northward Center, the law firm of Gibbons PC, TD Bank, and by Verizon. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
I think at NJIT there are a lot of smart students.
I came to NJIT for mechanical engineering because within state it's one of probably the top 3 schools for engineering.
It sort of creates a friendly competition where you can learn from them.
It's a great academic school.
I feel I'm being challenged, but at the same time, I love the classes I'm taking.
The atmosphere of being here is like being at an upstart company. It's that same kind of drive, that same kind of passion.